Hello and welcome to another Flash ActionScript 3 PHP and MySQL tutorial brought to you by Flash Building. And today's lesson, we're creating a content management system website, 100% Flash, and what it does is it connects to PHP and MySQL to render pages dynamically and also allow your client or yourself to edit the pages on site in real time. So you can see on the home page we have some data that Rec put in there, and it said something a minute ago, and you can go right now and edit the home page and the about page. And on the portfolio it's static page, services is static, and the contact page is static, but the about page and the home page I made dynamic. These call out to PHP and MySQL to retrieve this data. So let's go ahead and use the demo. You go to admin button at the bottom and it gives you a login form. If you put in the wrong data, you see here I give you the username and the password to log in for the demo. It's admin and password. But say I just put in the wrong data. It says processing, no match in our records, try again. Okay, so let's put in admin and password. Log in. And if it successfully logs in, it gives us a little menu down at the bottom here, since we are the owner. And let's go to home page. Now you see it didn't hardly even change the way it looked when I did that. If I go back to the home page, you see it takes away that sentence and that button up top. But if I go to edit the home page, puts a little sentence up top, it takes you to a new keyframe in Flash. And then it puts on that keyframe is this edit button in that sentence, and this is now an input text field, so I can edit it. I am very cool! Exclamation. And then press update, and it takes you back to the home page where it re-accesses the data. Now we're on the regular view of the site. So about page, the home page. See, I am very cool. A second ago it just said something else. So now when your client updates the site, everyone else in the world and they'll see the new updated data in real time right away. And that's pretty much the gist of it. And you can also edit the about page. I am very cool. Actually, that should be on the about page. Let's update that. Let's go to the home page and let's edit that home page. And we want that to say, welcome to the show. And you can, you set line breaks in there, and it's all HTML based data, so it will retain the line breaks. HTML line break. Update. And there it is. Now we're back on the home page. So right when you press update, I programmed it to send the user right back to the home page so they can see that the result of their work automatically. It's very smart programming in this file. So let's go ahead and look at the inner workings of it now. Okay, so when you download the source files and you unzip the package, this is what's inside the folder. And this is pretty much the whole directory for the complete website, or the complete example that I have on page there. And I have a little instruction sheet here you can read, and it helps you get started if you're kind of new. And but I would recommend only intermediate users go for this tutorial, because if you're a new Flash user, you really wouldn't have the need for something like this. This is really for webmasters to make more money with, so they can offer their clients better service. You understand? So that's really what it's all about. So in the folder, you'll see there's the source file, the Flash source file, and let's go ahead and open that. Just double click it and your Flash application will open with that file. And you can see there's also, get this over here. So when we open the file, let's go ahead and get the whole thing in view here. And mine opened in Flash CS3, and if you use Flash CS4, This will also work for you. And this is ActionScript 3 based. So you'll see the AS3 site nav code, and this file structure is a tutorial I made just a couple of days ago. If you go to Develop PHP on the home page, you'll see this tutorial and the one under it, easiest way to add event listeners. See, here's that file. I just expanded on it because it was a complete Flash website. So I figured I would just take this and expand upon it. That way, so if you guys need to understand how to build the structure, the framework of the site that I made, take that tutorial first and then come to this one. It would be a logical order, step up. You know what I mean. Anyways, so on the first frame, we run the code like normal that we did from the last tutorial, and here's the button, and here's the Pages movie clip. And the only addition now is inside the Pages movie clip we have a clip here which is called the admin panel, and it's on its own layer on the very top of everything else. And on that layer all we have is that one movie clip. If you double click inside of it, you'll see on the first keyframe there's 3 keyframes, and each have stop actions so they don't loop. On the first keyframe we have the admin button, which is simple code there, takes them to frame 2 when pressed. There's an event listener and the function to go to frame 2. That's all that does. When they press that admin, they go to frame 2, boom, shows them the login form. Here's the status text, it tells them what's going on as they're logging in, and here are the fields and the button, the login button, and the login code. Now this login code connects to a file called Cms Control File.php, and I named it Cms Control File because it runs the whole system. If you go to that folder, you open Cms Control File. Let's open that in Dreamweaver CS4 so we can see the syntax real well. And my programs are taking forever to load. Okay. Let's go ahead and size this down. We can see it all. Alright, now inside, the first thing we do in this CMS control file, and this is the one you'll really want to dig through and examine, and there's really not too much going on, and I sectioned off each block where things are happening and gave you a little title of what's happening in that section so you can understand what's going on where. So in the top section we just include the connect to MySQL .php file, and if you need to understand how to create your database, and also let's go to Develop PHP. Develop PHP's PHP and MySQL section, I have a tutorial that shows you how to connect to your MySQL database. Where is it? Somewhere. Connect to your MySQL database using PHP. And if you need to learn how to create a database, both of these tutorials, well, this member system basic, this shows you in the first step how to create a MySQL database. So if you're at the beginning of all this, you don't even know how to create a MySQL database and connect to it, you can learn through these sections here. But back to business. Okay, so we connect to the MySQL database and then we run queries on it according to what function they are trying to do in Flash. Here's the login function, and what's going to happen is they're going to post their username and password. So we just gather those up, then we connect to the database and check to see if it's there and the username and password match up, and we run a MySQL num rows on the result, and we should have a result of 1. So we run an if conditional here that says if the login result is greater than 0, which it should be 1 to give them access, we return a message of all good. If the login check is 0, this else comes into play and we print a return message of no good. And so that's what happens there in the login section. So when they log in successfully, in the code we go to and stop frame 3. See, if event.data return message is all good, we say go to and stop frame 3. If it's no good, we print a message to that static text box here that says no match in our records, please try again, and they can put in the correct data. So on success, we go to frame 3, which are those buttons that are choose a page to edit, and they can click this one or that one, and these are very simple codes to just take the user one movie clip up. So we claim parent clip, go to and stop, edit home when they click that edit home button. So that would be the equivalent of going up one out of that movie clip into this timeline and edit home. Then they land right there. So on the edit home frame, we have code that gathers the actually this is the code that when they press update, it sends it to the control file. In the control file we have, well, first let me show you the first set. Here are the first 5 frames that I had from the original tutorial for these 5 buttons and these 5 pages. And you can go and see that each one has a home, portfolio, about me, and services and contact. Okay, so all I added to the code, there was only a stop action on this frame at the end of that last tutorial. So I added all this code which connects to the CMS control file, and it requests to see to gather the home page text. So we send a request out to that file of get home text, and you see in the control file, see gather home page text, send request equals get home text. That's where we connect it. So the PHP file knows that that's what the Flash file is requesting, so it will only run this little section of code. This section will not run. This and these other sections will not run either. So in the gather the home page text section, we query the database to get the home body from the CMS content table, and then we gather that in the while loop, and then we print it back to Flash, the home page text body. And then that, what Flash is sitting here waiting for to display it on the home page. See, this dynamic text field is home_txt sitting on the home page frame, and it renders that data coming from the MySQL database. So on the onComplete mechanism is where we put it into the database. And I assigned a variable right here, home page text variable. It's a string variable, and that's what we put the data in. That way when they go to edit the home page, we can just render that data with the same query. We don't have to query again to get the data to put it in place for them to edit. It's already there. So when they do edit, and by the way, this is an input text field, multi-line input text rendered as HTML, and you can see you have to code it out a little bit different right here. Normally this would say input text dot text, but now it says input text dot HTML text, which you have to assign that to the text field to get it to render as HTML or send data as HTML. You get it? So to make it render or send as HTML, it has to be selected here, and then within the action script it has to have this instead of just regular text. It has to say HTML text, and that's pretty much the gist of it. So when they when that data comes in and gets displayed here from the database, that edit button is sitting right here. So when they click the edit button, we run this code, and it updates the home page data by sending a request to the control file. In the control file, we have update homepage text. That's the next block down. You can see if the send request is update homepage, which it is in Flash right here. See? Then we take what was posted from Flash and we run a MySQL query to update the table, CMS content table, with the home body set with that new homepage data. And that's pretty much that. And then the file doesn't execute anything else, only that little section. So back in Flash, when everything's good, we send them back to complete handler. When the file is updated or the data is updated in MySQL, PHP file returns, we say go to and stop home. So that way we don't have to mess around with them here anymore in the back end. We just send them straight here to the home frame label. See, home right there, that little red flag is the home frame label, and then that accesses the new data from the database and boom, shows it. That's how easy it is. And here I have pretty much the same thing set up with different code, but it's the same type of code, it just has different variable names. Same exact code that's running here to edit the home page edits the about page too. And in the control file, you just have different sections for each section of the website that you want to allow the user to update and manage. You just create new PHP blocks here that would the scripting would handle it. So like I said, it's slightly advanced, so I would only recommend that intermediate users jump into this. If you're a beginner, you're going to have about 1,000 questions for me, and I am not going to have the time to answer them. So I would say, if you're intermediate, you can have an easy time with this. If you're a beginner, you're going to struggle probably a little bit. But if you're slick, you can wrap your brain around it. It's not that hard. And I think that's everything about the control file. Yeah, it's pretty simple. And the Flash site is set up to render dynamically on the viewing end, and then on the back end here, it's set up to take input and send to database. And then when they press update, it updates the database, sends them back to that page that they were just updating, so they can view it as a viewer or a visitor to the site would. Okay, so that wraps it up, and I believe you have everything you need to understand what's going on here now and work with it to expand it into, or to implement it or use it for your client websites. And you might even want to, as you build, you might even want to, and here actually I'll show you a cool website that I made. It's Scott Clark Vision, and this one is very cool. And this is, he can update the whole site himself, and it's a little more advanced than the example that I gave you there. But man, this thing is cool. He can update all this data. See, on his journal page, he can also add new entries, and that's a little bit more complex. So as he adds an entry, you click one, takes you to another page where all the data he put in and a picture shows up. But that's a little more complex. But the artist page and a couple of other pages is where he can update all of this text, and also the links. Stop the music there. He can put in link banners. I made a really cool system for him. So yeah, most of his website is, and here you can see I made it. It's proof. And then yeah, so this website should give you a little inspiration. If you check it out, it's scottclarkvision.com, and should give you a little inspiration to understanding what you can set up. Look, he can even edit his galleries in the back end. So you see how they all just pop in dynamically, and he has power over these. If he has more than 12, it opens new sections. Look at that, very cool, isn't it? Very nice. Let's see one where there's a lot. 28 in that gallery. See? So what I do is each time he puts more as they go, it gives forward and back buttons to go through the gallery, but this is all editable by him. And you can see it opens up a nice big view of the picture, and here's all the other pictures in that gallery. And this is all PHP and MySQL and CSS going on here. But on the front end, it's all flashy poo, and he can edit it. Okay, so we'll see you next lesson.